Hey there, gang. So many of you know me for a long time, been around this channel, but if you're new, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, writer, gearhead, knucklehead. Been doing this a long time. But long before I was obsessed with recording and recording studios and gear and pedals and every other part of that process, I was just a singer-songwriter. I mean, that's how I started out. And back then, the only thing that we really could be obsessed about when I was starting out was acoustic guitars. And I've touched on acoustic guitars a little bit on this channel, but back then, to my wife's great chagrin, I was obsessed with acoustic guitars. And so were a lot of my friends. Like I said, we were singer-songwriters. There wasn't, much accoutrement to what we did except for these. And I want to talk to you about it a little bit because it's a very expensive, again, to my wife's chagrin, but frustrating journey. And I've learned a lot over the last 32 years. So let me just share a little bit about what I've learned, what I know, and I'd like to hear back from you and your journey, your experiences with acoustic guitars. The prices of acoustic guitars have gone through the roof. I sold a Santa Cruz OMPW to a friend of mine because he loved it, and I loved the guitar too. It was awesome. It's now worth twice what I sold it to him for 10 years ago. And, that's not really a vintage guitar yet. Yes, Santa Cruz are amazing, and we'll get to them in a little while because they are one of my favorites. But the prices have gone through the roof. I'm a Martin artist. I've been with them a long time. I didn't buy this one through them. I got this one from a collector. This is one of those sunken wood ones that somebody bought and foolishly sold to me very cheaply. But I'm just shocked how expensive they've gotten. So here's how I started out. So in the beginning, all I could really get were Gibsons and Martins. And usually it was used. I think I bought one new Gibson because it was like a closeout model at Manny's Music on 48th Street in Manhattan. That was pretty much my second guitar. You've seen my first guitar. You can't see it in the background on this angle, but I still have the Martin Sigma I bought when I was 14, I think, with my own money. It was the first one I bought with my own money. The second guitar I ever bought was a Guild. I think it's a D15. It was an all mahogany one. It was actually really good. That guitar helped me meet my wife. How? Well, I was living in LA and I was about $150 short of getting a plane ticket to go home. And I had to pawn something to get home, to get that plane ticket. And I only had those two guitars. I was actually there working on a film, ran out of money. Girlfriend left me that I'd been living with for 3 years back in New York. So I had to go back to New York, clean that up. I pawned that Guild. And to this day, I wish I had it back. But if I hadn't gone back to New York, I met my wife a week later at a party. So acoustic guitars are a big part of my life. So yeah, that Sigma Martin and the Guild D15 were the first two that I owned. And like I said, I bought a Gibson. It was like a Florentine cutaway, all maple. It was a pretty good guitar. And it had a pickup in it. That was the big attraction, that it had a pickup. Unfortunately, the pickup was defective in that you would put a battery in it, you could play one gig, and then you'd show up for the next gig and it'd be dead because there was some short in it. Roger Sadowski eventually figured that out for me, but I sold that guitar. I bought a Martin D40, I think. It's like almost a jumbo in black which I eventually gave to Scott Kempner for helping me out with a record, my second record. And I assume his sister has that now that he's gone. But that guitar was like a stupid, amazing guitar. It had like pock marks, and there were old roaches inside of it from, pot smoking roaches. And Scott used it for the rest of his career until he passed. That guitar was amazing, but again, I paid $1,200 for that at 48th Street Guitars across from Manny's. After that is when my journey, my obsession really began. It started with Santa Cruzes. I had bought a few Santa Cruzes, bought, traded, sold, bought more. Santa Cruz are, generally speaking, my favorite sound-wise because they're always so well balanced. They sing. There's a lot of definition. You get enough bass, not as much bass as a Martin, even in the same models. And they're punchy, but just enough and not too thunky. These are technical terms. Anyway, I love Santa Cruzes, and they're probably my overall favorite. I've owned a lot of Collings. I used to have the Collings C10. Oh my God, that Collings C10. Does anything sound as close to a vintage Gibson? It's got the thunk, it's got the aged woody sound, yet it's got a lot of definition and clarity to it. Oh my God, that Collings C10. I also owned a Collings Jumbo and a small Jumbo, like a country gentleman size. I didn't care for those as much as the C10, but Collings does make good stuff. Rest in peace, Bill Collings. I still think I favor Santa Cruz over Collings. I've tried Huss and Dalton. Oh my God. Those guitars are so nice. A friend of mine who owned a guitar store asked me, try this out, and I loved it. And he let me take it home and pay for it later. And I actually brought it back to him a week later, and I'm like, dude, I've hardly played it because this guitar is too nice for me. That's how nice Huss and Daltons are. I've played a few Loudons. My late buddy Seth had, I guess it was a 23. What was it, an S23, I think they call it. And I've owned a couple Loudons. I think I've owned 3 myself. To me, Seth's was the best sounding. They're very different from guitar to guitar, is what I've discovered. Like, you can't buy a Loudon blind. You have to totally be there and play it, because even the same model, if you had 4 of them next to each other, all 4 of them would sound different. The best one I had was one of those transition era ones when I guess Loudon sold the company and other people were making it under his name, but it was still the same people working in the factory. Anyway, I had one of those, and it was amazing sounding, recorded beautifully. The problem was that was the era that bridges were flying off of them. This was like in the early 90s, mid 90s, before he got the company back. So I love Loudons. I love the cedar. Super inconsistent, though. You gotta try them. But people love them. And I know why. Richard Thompson, I've worked with Richard. He sounds amazing. And I've played his guitar. It's amazing. So you really gotta try them, though. You really gotta feel them out. Taylors, I hate Taylors. Okay, come at me, bro. I hate Taylors. They are consistently the worst sounding, tinniest, unbalanced, like the least amount of overall warmth and character of any acoustic guitar I've ever played. With one exception, they make quite possibly the best 12-string on the market. The only 12-string I've ever heard better than a Taylor, and I've tried many, many Taylor 12-strings, and they're all amazing, is an old Guild 12 string. But those have problems, those old ones, depending on the factory, of course. So, come at me with the Taylor hate. I'm sorry. They are the worst sounding things, and I must have tried 20 of them. I even owned one once. I owned a 12 string too. Amazing, amazing 12 strings. And I still own a nylon string because it's the only nylon string I own. It is fantastic. It's not super high end. It's kind of in the middle. I can't remember the model number. I've used it like twice. It's just because I want to have a nylon string around, and it is good. But everything else I've ever played by them, garbage. All right? Garbage. Sorry for you Taylor lovers. I mean, what can I say? I have played a lot of acoustic guitars. And there's many, many others. You know my love for Larrivee. I only discovered Larrivee in the last 5 years. And, maybe I got lucky, but I've played 4 of them now, and I still own 3. Love them. Play them every day. In particular, I've got an all mahogany D03, but all mahogany. And it's one of the best sounding recording guitars ever. It sounds great plugged in. It's easy to play. It's got the lowest action of any guitar I own without buzzing. And that one was set up by Neil Young's Guitar Tech, if that matters, maybe. But it's stupendous. And I'm really happy with Larrivee. The best part about Larrivee is you can get them, right? They're affordable for a high-end guitar. They're very consistent, and they sound fantastic plugged in. That dual system anthem that they put in it now, amazing. And if you have an old Larrivee and you sign up for them and like to be register in their forum and you want the new pickup, they'll sell it to you at a discount if you're if you register, if you're in their forum. It's amazing. It's just a drop-in replacement. So that's really superb customer service and attention. I love that. So I love my Larrivees. I've played some Bourgeois over the years that were fantastic. Haven't played them in a long time, but 30 years ago when they were hand making each one, pretty good. So that's just a little tasting of my experience. It goes far beyond that, but I don't want to bore you too much. I want to hear from you. You tell me what you like. If you have any questions, let it rip. I'm here for you. I don't want, like I said, there's a lot I can't cover in one video, but I've spent so much money on acoustic guitars that I figured, hey, we all share a lot here on this channel, recording, gear, music business advice. And I was like, oh my God, the other thing I know more than anything about is acoustic guitars. I wish I didn't, but I do. So if you have any questions or insights of your own, hit me up. Come at me, bro. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.